Teaching leave it. This is useful for all manner of distractions your dog may be focused on. We'll be using leave it for food in the hand as well as food on the ground. In addition, you can always ask your dog to leave it when they are visually focused on something. We'll start with a simple exercise to teach leave it, take it. We're going to start with 3 or 4 take it's to teach the dog to simply take food from our hand. Place a piece of food in your hand and say, take it.
Take it.
Dogs usually get this one right away. Now we'll teach leave it. Number 1, place a piece of food in your closed hand. Start with the boring food and work up to more exciting stuff. Number 2, present the closed hand to the dog and say, leave it. As soon as the dog gives up investigating your hand, say, take it. Now look for obvious signs of leaving the food, such as a sit or a look away. Remember, the more enticing the food is, the more your dog may investigate the hand. Don't keep repeating the cue. Simply say, leave it one time and wait the dog out.
Yes.
Once your dog is doing well with a closed hand, graduate to an open hand. This may be more difficult. The trick here is do not let the dog get the food until he has given up. Number 1, place a piece of food in your open hand and allow the dog to see it and smell it. If your dog goes for the food, close your hand and retract it. Number 2, when your dog has given up trying to get the food, say take it and give him the food. Now remember, wait the dog out. Say the leave it cue one time and wait for the dog to figure out that leaving it gets him the food. Once your dog is good at leaving food from your hand, try leave it from food on the floor. Number 1, place a piece of food on the floor under your hand. As soon as the dog has stopped trying to get the food, say yes and give him a piece of food from your pocket or pouch. Remember, by teaching the dog to leave it and then take it, we are working not only with their impulse control, but we're teaching them a very valuable skill that can help them leave something off the floor that may be dangerous. Leaving food as you walk by on leash is something that all dog owners will encounter at some point. Here's a simple exercise to teach your dog to leave it off the ground as you walk by food on the floor or the ground. Number 1, prior to the training exercise, place some food on the ground when your dog is not around. Start out with some food that's not very exciting. Number 2, as you walk towards the food, watch for the dog to notice the food. Number 3, as soon as the dog sees the food, say leave it and wait for your dog to either stop extending his head or when he averts his attention away from it. Now some dogs may sit and some dogs may turn right around. Whatever the sign of leaving the food is your dog displays, say yes to mark the behavior that he's left the food and then pay the dog with a piece of food from your pouch or your pocket. You can also prompt the dog if they're not responding to the leave it cue. When you're walking towards the food, make sure you do not get too close to the food on the ground. If you're too close to the food, your dog may be too distracted by the food, or they may actually get the food. You'll know where the food is, so be prepared to say leave it as soon as the dog sees it, and then mark and then treat as soon as they do leave it. It's better to be conservative in your distance rather than to let the dog get the food off the ground. This exercise can really help if you have a dog that has a habit of picking things up off the ground. Remember that asking a dog to leave it can be used for both objects in the hand or on the ground, as well as something the dog may be looking at. In addition, the leave it cue is a great replacement for that old habit of saying no. No is not a behavior and the dog cannot rehearse it. However, your dog and you can rehearse leave it all the time.